Before there was sound, there was silence. Not the hollow silence of absence, but the fertile stillness before creation takes its first breath. In that boundless quiet, there was a book. It had no ink, no paper, and no hand to write it. It was made of light folded into form, of memory before time. It is said that before the world began, every soul was written there, not as law, not as fate, but as remembrance. Each name shimmered like a small star, waiting to take on a body, to walk through the world and to rediscover what it had always been: known, seen, and loved. The Book of Names was never created to judge. It was created to remember, because the universe forgets nothing that is done with love. If you could see it, the book would not look old or heavy. It would glimmer like water beneath eternal dawn. Its pages would move by themselves, breathing softly as if alive. There is no ink, only light. Some believe the book lies in heaven, others that it hides within the human heart. Perhaps both are true, for heaven might simply be the part of us that still remembers where we came from. The first page looks blank to the eye, but full to the soul. It hums quietly, waiting for us to realize that we have already been written. When the first soul awoke, a spark of light inscribed itself onto that page. No thunder or fire, only the quiet act of being known. From that moment onward, everything that soul did, every act of kindness, every forgiveness, every moment of courage after fear, became a sentence, a rhythm, a verse in the poetry of existence. Yet here lies the mystery. It is not God who writes these words. It is we who write ourselves, every time we choose truth, every time we choose love instead of fear. Each soul carries its own pen of light, and every choice leaves a mark that cannot be erased. Even when we forget, the book does not. It keeps the record of our becoming. If you could touch its pages, they would not feel like paper, but like warmth. The warmth of every person who has ever loved you, forgiven you, or waited for you to return to yourself. Heaven does not remember us by our accomplishments or our failures, but by the warmth we have given. Each time we forgive, a faint line of gold writes itself into eternity. Each time we choose compassion over pride, the light glows a little brighter. Even broken prayers are recorded there, not by sound, but by sincerity. The Book of Names shines because it is written with awareness. Awareness is not judgment, it is seeing with love. To be seen truly is to be loved completely. That is why the pages never stain with sin. They illuminate with understanding. Even the darkest memories become radiant when read through the eyes of compassion. Heaven's ink never dries, because nothing in creation is ever finished. Every moment can still be rewritten by grace. They say angels turn its pages slowly, not because they are slow, but because each page is alive. Every name breathes, whispers, pulses with its own rhythm. Sometimes the light dims, flickering like a candle in wind, yet it never goes out. The book is patient. It waits. It has all of eternity to see what we will become. If you could hear it being read, it would sound like music made of memory. Chords of laughter, notes of regret, the quiet heartbeat of hope returning. It is not a symphony of perfection, but of becoming. The universe listens, and though some notes tremble, the melody remains beautiful in the end. But not every name shines all the time. Some fade for a while, blurred by pain, fear, or forgetting. They are never erased, only hidden behind shadows of our own making. When we hurt, when we turn away from truth, the ink does not vanish. It recoils, waiting for the light to return. The book records even these silences, not as shame, but as unfinished sentences. There are pages trembling with unspoken apologies, lines interrupted mid-verse by pride. Tears have fallen on them, some from heaven, some from us, and yet not one page is lost. Divine memory is merciful. It does not archive despair, it transforms it. What we call mistakes, it calls beginnings. What we call endings, it calls pauses. Every blot can still become a star if brought again into the light. An old mystic once said, "Even the ink that stains is made of light, for nothing in the universe can exist outside its source." That is the secret we have forgotten. The shadow is not proof of sin. It is proof that the sun exists. The names that fade are not condemned. They are called. They are the ones heaven longs for most. When we repent, we don't return to God. We return to ourselves. And when that happens, a shimmer moves across the page, and the name glows again, brighter for having been dimmed. Imagine standing before that book, your name among uncountable stars. You might whisper, "What have I done to deserve to be here?" And the answer would come not in words, but in warmth. You exist, that is enough. Because existence itself is a prayer, and even in forgetting, you are still remembered. In a forgotten monastery, an old hermit once said, "We do not write our names in heaven with virtue. We write them with vulnerability." Perhaps that is what the Book of Names is for. Not to record triumphs, but to cradle our attempts. It is a map of mercy, where every faltering step is marked not as failure, but as direction. Every silence counted as waiting. Every sorrow kept like a pearl in the folds of its light. As the wind turns the page, the sound is gentle, almost like breath. The next words will speak not of judgment, but of remembrance, of pages that glow, not because they are perfect, but because they have been forgiven. And as the light deepens, the book hums again, the sound of a universe still writing itself, line by line, name by name, in ink made of grace. There are pages that glow even when the rest of the book lies in shadow. They are the ones written by those who learned to forgive themselves. These pages hum softly, like embers that never truly die, and their light spreads quietly across the others. The book remembers mercy as its truest ink. Forgiveness is what keeps it alive. Some say the pages shimmer because they are turned by hands of wind. Others say it is the souls themselves, each act of kindness, each quiet prayer that stirs the air within it. Whatever moves them, they never stop turning. For even eternity needs motion to stay awake. If you could see the pages that glow, you would notice that none of them are perfectly written. The handwriting trembles. The words sometimes break. But it is the trembling that makes them holy. For heaven does not celebrate the flawless. It celebrates the sincere. The divine light bends toward imperfection because it recognizes itself there. Each line that once carried regret now radiates gentleness. The words that once whispered, "I failed," now sing softly, "I tried." The Book of Names is not a list. It is a living memory of becoming. It remembers not what we were, but what we are still trying to be. And that memory, that grace, becomes a light that never fades. Mercy, in the language of the book, is not pity. It is recognition. The moment heaven looks at you and sees not what you have done, but what you are capable of still becoming. Every time a heart opens, even slightly, the book grows brighter. Every act of compassion, even unseen, becomes a new constellation in its sky. There is a story told among the mystics. Once, a soul asked to see its page. It was granted the vision and found the words faint, incomplete, almost erased. In despair, the soul asked, "Why have you not written more of me?" And the voice replied, "Because I have given you the pen." The book does not write your story for you. mind simply holds the space where your truth can unfold. When the soul understood, it took up the pen again, not to correct the past, but to continue it. For in this book, continuation is redemption. To live one more honest moment, to speak one word of kindness, is to rewrite the entire chapter of despair into one of grace. The Book of Names is endless, not because it has infinite pages, but because it has infinite forgiveness. It remembers everything, and yet it condemns nothing. That is its paradox and its perfection. What we see as a record of who we are, it sees as a mirror of what love can do when given time. The pages that glow most brightly are those of souls who loved deeply, even when they were broken. Some were never saints. Some never knew prayer. But love in any form, even incomplete, is the language that heaven understands without translation. The book does not care how many times we have fallen. It only asks whether we have risen once more with tenderness. It remembers the small gestures, the cup of water given to a stranger, the silence kept instead of anger, the letter of apology never sent but sincerely written in the heart. These are the true verses of eternity. If you listen closely, the book has a pulse. It beats like a heart made of light. Every heartbeat is a reminder. Nothing is lost that was ever loved. Time may bury it under noise and forgetting, but when the pages are opened, the pulse returns, and memory breathes again. There is an entry in every soul's story called the tear that was kept. It is said that every tear shed in truth, every grief carried with dignity, is caught by the book, not to be erased, but to be transformed. Tears are the ink of empathy. They turn pain into prayer. The final reading, they say, will not be read aloud in judgment, but in reunion. When all things have returned to their source, the book will open, and every soul will remember its own light. Not the borrowed light of praise, nor the artificial glow of fame, but the quiet, steady light that has always been theirs. Each name will speak itself aloud, and the sound will be music, millions of notes, no longer discordant, finally finding harmony. It will not be a ceremony of reward, but of recognition. Heaven will not ask, "Were you perfect?" It will ask, "Did you love?" And the answer will not need to be spoken. It will shine. At that moment, all pages will merge. The countless books of past lives, of forgotten prayers, of long silences, will become one single book of light. And in that light, no name will be greater than another, because all will be written in the same ink. The mystics called this the book that writes itself. Because even as you read these words, it is writing you. Every thought, every kindness, every breath of awareness adds another stroke of light to its pages. You are not outside the book. You are within it, and it is within you. Perhaps that is why we sometimes feel nostalgia for moments we have not yet lived. Perhaps it is because the book already knows them. It has seen the forgiveness you have not yet given, the beauty you have not yet found, the peace you have not yet remembered. It holds them for you until you are ready to see yourself through its eyes. The Book of Names is not an archive of the dead. It is the heartbeat of the living. It remembers us so that we may remember ourselves. It holds our shadows so that we may see our light more clearly. It never demands, never threatens. It simply waits, endlessly patient, until every soul returns home. And when the last soul does, when every name has finally remembered its song, the book will close. Not because the story is over, but because the reader has become the author. For in the end, the book is not about what has been written. It is about who we have become through the act of writing. When you think of all your years, the mistakes, the regrets, the small mercies, You may wonder what kind of chapter you have left behind. Do not fear the blots and broken lines. They are proof that you have lived. The book is not interested in perfect sentences. It is interested in honest ones. There will come a day, quiet and bright, when you will open your eyes and realize that the book has been turning all along. Every sorrow, every joy, every silence was a line leading you back here, to the realization that nothing was wasted, that even your forgetting was a way of remembering differently. In that day, you will no longer ask to see your page. You will understand that you are the page, the ink, the light, and the reader. You will see that every soul you loved is written beside you, and that none of you were ever alone in your story. The entire universe has been one long sentence about love learning to know itself. And when the final line is written, the book will not end. It will breathe, gently, like the world before its first word, and it will whisper, "All names are one. All stories are light. All that was lost is found again." Then silence will return, not empty, but full. The same silence from the beginning, now richer, wiser, carrying within it all the laughter, the pain, the hope of countless lives. The book will rest in that silence, not closed, but complete. And somewhere in that boundless stillness, your name will shimmer, not as a memory, not as a promise, but as what it has always been, light that never leaves.